What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about why I hope that Rocksteady's next game is not multiplayer. So, I saw what a lot of you guys were saying in the last video, and I've known this. I've known that, they hired testers, right? Multiplayer testers. I understand that the odds for a multiplayer, at least aspect of their next game, is pretty darn likely. In fact, I'd say it's 100% going to be in the game in some way or the other. And truly, that's very disappointing. That's very bad. And I'll explain why and it's only bad from my point of view, my opinion here. And you guys can 100% have different opinions. I welcome it. Totally cool if you don't agree. And you can let me know in the comments below why you don't agree. We could have a great conversation. I want a Justice League game. I want a Superman game. When I talked about that Justice League game, the last video, I really do want that. And especially talking about it, I really do get myself hyped up. I think what they could make with you play as all these different superheroes, I think it could be really, really awesome. You could say, well, Alex, the multiplayer, maybe it's just you could play with all of them online too. You could join other people's games, their open worlds, and you could play in their thing. I mean, here's the deal. What they could be doing with multiplayer could actually be like revolutionary, could be very amazing. It'd be like kind of GTA 5 where you play as the three protagonists, but say like you play as 5 Justice League members and you have the entire world that they build, whatever the map is for the game, and you could jump into other people's games, or you could, you just join a lobby and you join and you pick the superhero that you want to play as, and then you jump in and then you're all playing it together. Maybe you can do quests together, maybe you can do a story entirely with other people, things like that. I think that could, and that aspect of it, I'm not saying the entire thing is awful, but I will explain why I still don't want it. That could be very, very cool. It would be actually a lot like Marvel's Avengers in a way. And the reasoning I don't want it, though, I absolutely don't want it, is microtransactions, is problems with online in general. What will that come with it? Adding multiplayer and what I just said, I mean, I would sign if you just told me that, and you told me that there would be nothing else to worry about. I'd sign up for it. Imagine jumping into a game and you play as Wonder Woman, I play as Batman, somebody else is playing as Superman, whatever, and we just go do quests together. We beat some bad guys up. They have the Nemesis system, let's say. Like, all the other mechanics of the game are still in there, and we're doing it all together. That sounds phenomenal, but with that brings a lot of trouble. Does it need to have does it have to have an internet connection? Can you play it solo? Will it actually be a worse game solo than with friends? Because I want a Justice League game, but I would prefer a story Justice League game where I will play as all of the members. And to be quite honest, yeah, I like multiplayer games. I play multiplayer games, especially with this channel and with it continuing to grow and with the community we continue to grow. I would love to play multiplayer games with you guys, and we're starting to do that more and more with the channel. So it's not like I don't welcome multiplayer games or multiplayer aspects of games, but I am a single-player guy. I love single-player stories, games like Uncharted, The Last of Us, even open world, Dragon Age, Witcher, the old Mass Effect 2 and 3. Like, I love those kind of games, and so that's what I would want. I don't necessarily need multiplayer, but honestly, this is what I was kind of saving it for, and I know this could bring about some problems. I think when the game does get announced and we start talking about it more and more, I do think this would be the main thing that a lot of people would start to be like, well, I'm either on one side or the other, is microtransactions. At the end of the day, like, I respect the studios. I respect the people that work there. I think they're very, very talented, but they're owned by Warner Bros., WB, and WB does have a history of microtransactions that kills games. Okay, you look at the last Middle-earth game, Shadow of War. That game was destroyed because of microtransactions. Was it a good game? Yeah, I actually bought it day one. I love those games. I think those games are insanely good. But the second game, you look at online, you look at what a lot of people said, and even I do agree, microtransactions killed it. So if you have an online game, you're opening the possibilities for skins. You're opening the doors for maybe unique abilities or traversal, actions or whatever it is. But you're opening the door to pay for something, and that could honestly hurt it. And if it's open world, if it is like a Justice League kind of thing, do you level up your characters? Is that a thing? Because if that's a thing, then there's like XP stuff. Can you pay to level them up faster? Do you unlock things when you level them up? Is that going to be behind paywalls? things like that. And, you could just say, well, that a lot of people say that for a lot of different games. It's because it's the truth. It's because we live in a world where this kind of stuff happens, and it's happening more and more with games. And we really do need to put our foot down before it gets completely out of hand, which arguably it's already gotten out of hand, but it can truly ruin video games. An entire game can be ruined from an aspect like this. I just think with how talented Rocksteady is, and say what you want about Arkham Knight, but I think what they've done, Arkham Asylum, City Knight, they've made a phenomenal, one of the greatest trilogies I think ever made. Not just superheroes, one of the greatest trilogies ever. I'd say in the top 5 ever. And they're insanely talented. They've been, whatever this game is, if it's a online only game, if it has online features, if it's a Superman game, if it's a Justice League game, whatever it is, they've been working on it for such a long time. It is most likely, if not 100%, going to be on next gen, so we'll see the power of next gen. Although, most of the time they've been working on it, they have not even had the dev kits for next gen, so I wouldn't expect an insane leap. I'd expect something you would see more like in 2020, where games are trying to do both. Like, they're trying to up-res themselves for next gen, but they're also still kind of stuck on current gen. I think that's what we'll see from Rocksteady's first game. Hopefully, they're working on a second game. Hopefully, they can get another game out faster, so we can get another game on next gen, and then that game will see the power of them. But no matter what, they've been working on it forever, and I expect a really good product, and I think they're going to give us a very, very good product. Question is, what is going to come along with it? A lot of games have been very, very solid, but also had that extra stuff in it. Okay, even a game like those games that I was saying, like Middle Earth, that game at its core is such a good game. The Nemesis system is iconic. I think it's going to be an any game that makes sense. Just like I said, we've talked a lot about the Arkham game from Warner Bros. Montreal. I think the Nemesis system will be in that. I think Rocksteady, whatever games they're working on, I think the Nemesis system should be in that. It's a phenomenal system. Works really well with like a city with like a criminal, path, right? I think it would work really, really well for any of these kind of games. So obviously, Middle Earth gave us so much, and it took the fighting mechanics of Batman. I don't necessarily think it did it better, but it did it reasonably well. So Middle Earth was a very, very good game. And especially even the first one, Shadow of Mordor, was like a Game of the Year contender. But they can be greatly hurt. Now, maybe a multiplayer aspect wouldn't kill the Justice League game. Maybe a Justice League game could stand up and be like, well, yeah, we have multiplayer. I know a lot of people aren't going to like it, but we're still going to be like an amazing game. And I think it will be, but I do think it's going to get hurt. And why even? Why? I think it just sucks that I think we are past the point of like Arkham Knight. Like when Arkham Knight came out, again, say what you want about it, but that era of games, you buy the game, you play the story, it's 10, 15 hours, that's it. Arkham Knight did have that massive season pass that was, like $40? Really big season pass, especially back then. You could argue if they gave you the content that you wanted for it, but you even look at that, a lot of people really did not like that season pass. Who made it? Rocksteady. Did Rocksteady choose for that? Maybe not necessarily, but who owns them? Who owned them back then still? Warner Bros. So there have been hints that, like, yeah, Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, like those were just base games. There were DLCs, or you could play as a Joker in Arkham Asylum on the on PlayStation. So there were things like that, but when it came to Arkham Knight, base game, they gave you the DLC, big DLC. You had to pay a lot for it, but they gave it to you. What are they like now? Is it going to be the base game? And then it does. I mean, at this point, it does seem 100% like they're embracing the multiplayer aspect. You don't hire multiplayer testers, and the positions were for consoles, were for PC, and were for mobile. I don't know why mobile would be there, but definitely PC and consoles make sense. So no matter what, I do think there'll be some sort of multiplayer integrated. Hopefully, everybody just took it way over the top, and it could be just something so simple that it's like leaderboards. I think you would need some multiplayer aspect or some multiplayer specialist in the gaming world if there's a leaderboard. And there were leaderboards, I believe, in Arkham Asylum, weren't there? But there's leaderboards on games like Resogun and Nex Machina, studios that are very, very small. I know I'm stretching. I don't think that's what it's going to be. I hope that's all it is, because I really, again, it sounds so cool if I can jump into your world, and it could be kind of like a DC Universe Online, but with a Justice League and with a smaller scale of Rocksteady. that does sound phenomenal, but I just think that there would be some issues. You look at how EA's done it. You look at how Ubisoft's done it. There's always issues. And do you really want a game that we've been waiting for 5, 6 years by the time it comes out? Do you really want that game ruined because they decided to add multiplayer? I don't think it's worth it. So I would like that shut down, but I don't think we're going to get it. It'll just be really, again, they're so great at hiding things. We don't even know what the game is, and I'm very interested to see what the game is, but I also want to see what this multiplayer aspect is in addition to it. But guys, let me know in the comments below. Firstly, what do you think they're making? How do you think multiplayer it gets involved in that? And what do you think about that? What do you think about what I said? Do you not want it? Do you think it would hurt the game, or do you think it would actually help the game? Let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel podcast. Now hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And we're going to be covering Rocksteady's game every other week. We tend to do it, and I want to continue that leading into whenever they announce it. I do think E3 2020 is the time, so we do have a lot of time until then, but I'm going to be making videos all the way up until they actually announce it, and then once they announce it, we'll be covering it a ton on the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you all in the next video.